I welcome you all on this real estate Power BI dashboard. Inside this video, we will be having our raw data which you can access through the description box. Once using that data, we will be creating a summary dashboard for our real estate company which will contain the details by revenue, by expenses, important KPI cards and so on. This will have the index and resources in the description, so if you want you can skip some sessions using the timestamps as well. Now let's go and see how our completed dashboard would look like. So this is our completed dashboard, and if we select any particular country, let's suppose Brazil, then all the data sets keeps on changing based upon that selection. So we are having our revenue by country, our expenses by quarter, our revenues by month, having the minimum revenue and maximum revenue, also our people who have purchased these properties, KPI cards, our top selling property, also glimpses of certain properties, how they look like. There are certain toggle button here as well, based upon which we can toggle and get our data on a live basis. So I hope you like this, and let's go and watch this entire session. After that, we can see client ID is there and client images are there. So this is fine at the moment. Now let's go further and import our remaining data. So let's go to Excel workbook and let's go to customer details. So this is getting loaded again, and here we go and import the data. So I press OK, and this may take a few seconds to load based upon the system efficiency, and I press the refresh here first, and you can see the client ID is given, client name and images of those clients are given. And finally let's go and import our date table. So we go to Excel again and go to calendar here, and inside this calendar all the dates would be mentioned. So out of those dates we need to extract the year and month and so on. So I pressed OK, and let's go here. Let me just cancel this. Now you can see that the date details are written here. Now if you want to create our, I can say, visuals based upon months and year, so we can do that. So let's go and do using an add column, and inside the add column what we can do, we can create a column for years. So we go and click on years, so all the years are extracted out of the date. Similar to years, we want to extract the month. So we go here and we extracted the month. As you can see, all the months are extracted, month numbers are extracted. Along with the month numbers, we want to extract the name of the month. So we go here and we click on the name of the month. So name of the months are also extracted. However, we don't want to show the name of the month full, we want to show the initial 3 letters. So we click here and we go to transform, and inside the transform there is an option of extract first characters, and we want to extract first 3 characters. So we write 3 and we press OK. Once we do that, you can see this got updated. Now after doing these basic hygiene checks, let's do a close and apply, and this may take a few seconds to get loaded. So let's wait for a second, and after this will get loaded, we will go to our data model and create the connections between the table, because the connections are the main ingredient which will fetch the details from other tables. So let's wait for a moment. This is getting loaded. Now the entire thing has been loaded. Once the loading is being done, you can see that the sheet details are here. So we need to just rename these sheets initially. So let's go and rename these. So let's give it a name of I can say client details, and let's give this one name as calendar. Wait for a second. Okay, now let's go to our model view here, and inside our model view all the three tables are showing now, and you can see that a Power BI automatically detected a relationship between these two tables based upon the client ID, that is the client ID, and the property details. Inside the calendar table we are having dates, so we can connect these dates with the sale date. So I select them, drag it here, and you can see there is a one-to-many relationship which we wanted. So we just press save, and this relationship has been created now. Now let's go to our report view here, and import our background for this canvas. So we go to format, inside format there is a canvas background option. We go to browse, and inside browse we can see that there is an icons here, and is the option of background. We selected that. Right now the transparency is 100, so we can't see that. Let's make it to 0, and the size is not exactly the size of the canvas. So what we can do, we can do a fit to page. So this canvas is now getting fit to page. After this, firstly what we will be doing, we will be creating a, I can say, a slicer here. So for that we will be just going here. Let me just delete it first. Yeah, we'll be going in the home tab, and there are option of multiple slicers. So I will be selecting the slicer which is this one, as you can see list, or there is a tile slicer. So let's take the tile slicer, that would be more helpful for us. So this is our tile slicer. Inside that we will be feeding in year, because based upon years we want to filter. So let's go and select the year, and one second, let me just again select the tile slicer, and let's go and import the year here, and you can see all the years are showing. Now inside these fields there is a blank here also showing. Many times any blank rows are in your table, so due to that it may show. So how we can handle that is simply bring the same year inside this filter which you can see here, and inside that we can filter it based upon basic filtering, and we just don't want to show the blank, so we remove that. After we do that, you can see that our entire data point is now showing correctly. So now let's bring this I can say slicer here, and let's go and format this slicer. So if we go to format, you can see inside size and styles, the height and width all look same, and we don't need the background, so we just remove the background here. Also the title is given here, so we don't need the title because people know that these are years when they see it. If we go to slicer setting, then right now you can see I can select 2025, 2026, 2027 and so on. So there is an option of selecting none as well. However, I want any year to be selected at any point of time, so I do a force selection. So if you see that any visual will be selected at any point of time by doing a force selection. So I selected that. After that, let's go to the shape. Shape is good, rectangle is good, and let's see the layout. So the grid arrangement is fine, and this is the card which we wanted. We don't want a table, and the three items are inside a row. If there would be 4 years, then we could have selected 4, and other things looks fine. And overflow is also fine because there is no overflow of multiple years, so there is no use of it at the moment. Let's go to the call out values and see what are there. So values are here, and we can increase the size of these years, as you can see. So I have increased that a little bit, and I have also made the alignment of them to center. So this is center alignment. The color is black, which is fine at the moment, there is no problem. And if do we want any label or not, so I don't want any label, so I have not selected that. The layout is quite good. And if we want to insert any image, so right now we don't want to insert any image for the slicer, so that is fine. And let's come to buttons now. So inside the buttons you can see the default behavior is like this, which is fine. And inside the default behavior, do we want the borders? So we don't want the borders, so borders have been removed. Do we want these to be filled? Again, we don't want these to be filled. So when we removed it, we don't want it to be filled. Then what happened? This became 0. So what we will do, inside fill option, you can see we have selected this option, and inside default the color is white at the moment. So what we can do, we can do a selection of fill, and let me just go and show you what will happen if I change the color. So inside default this is showing the color of I selected. So let's go and make it white. I don't want the color to be different now, and I don't want it to be filled, so I just remove it. And after the default view, let's go here and let's go to selected view. So when any item is selected, this is selected at the moment, right? When it is selected, the color right now is showing as black. So instead of black, what we will do, we want it to be I can say let's suppose white. So when we select it, you can see these are getting white. So instead of white, let's make it this particular color, so it gets differentiated. So this looks fine. Okay, fine. Now let's go further. Inside fill is fine. Accent bar. So if you go to accent bar, you can see that at this moment there are no accent bar, so I keep it on. So there are these different lines of accent bar. What we can do, we can put this accent bar at below. So let's put these at bottom. So whenever we select any year, we can see bottom accent bar are showing here. So we have selected that, and the color of accent bar, let's make these little lighter. So this is a little lighter color, and let's increase its width to 3 from 2. So this looks fine at the moment. And now let's go and try to select the year. So these selected year looks fine. Now let's go ahead and create our initial first measures which we need. For that, what we will be doing, we will be creating a measures table. So we go and create an enter data, and let's give this table a name of measures table. This is getting loaded. Now inside this measures table, let's go and create a new measure first. So we go to new measures here, and here we want to create it a measure of revenue. So we go here and write the measure of revenue. And now what we want to do a sum. So you can see we are having our calendar table, client table, and properties table, and inside the properties table you can see the price details are there. But if we add all the price details, it will show the prices of sold and vacant, both the, I can say, line items, right? So let me just show you this. So let's go to our table view, and inside property details you can see the prices are written for all the properties, but all the properties are not sold. So we want to get the total price of those properties which have been sold. So let's go to our report view again, and let's go to our measure here, and instead of using the sum, let's use a calculate and sum. So calculate would calculate the value based upon certain filters. So our filter would be, I write the property details status, and this should be sold. So wherever the property status is written as sold, it will do a sum of that price. So we have calculated our revenue measure. Let me bring one important I can say visual here, which will be our card visuals, I can say. So let's insert this card visual, and let me put the revenue details here. So you can see the revenue of 27 millions for our 27, and revenue of this is getting updated 17 million for 26, and for 25 revenue is also written as 26 million. So these are the revenues. Now similar to revenues, let's firstly clean it up. So inside the measure table, this column is not of relevant for us, so let's go and delete it from model, because when we create the table, this gets automatically created. Once we delete it, you will see the symbol of this measures table will change. Now from a table, it will be showing just like a calculator symbol. So you can see that the symbol has been changed because we are calculating the things inside it. After that, let's go and create another new measure, which will be our expenses measure. So let's wait for a moment. Yeah, so we go inside it and we write expenses, and inside the expenses again we want to do a sum of expenses, but we want to make the sum based upon only those properties which have been sold. So we again do a calculate, and inside that calculate, let's use the property status as equal to sold, and after let's wait for a moment, let's make our third, I can say, measure, which will be our profits. So let's wait for a moment, and this is our profits on sold properties, or I can just write it as profit, and let's make it as revenue minus expenses. Now this has been created here. After that, we also want to show how many properties inside count we have sold. So if you see here in the properties details that we are having multiple properties, and if we go inside the status, you can see we want to show the count of these sold properties only, how many properties are total sold. So for that, what we will be doing is create another measure of I can say sold properties. So for that, let's go and click on new measure. This is getting loaded, and we write it as sold properties, and inside the sold properties we want to count the rows, because each row is a count of properties, right? So there is a formula of count rows, and this will be based upon property details table. However, whatever result will come, that will have the vacant and sold properties both the details. So we will do one thing, again use the calculate, and inside the properties table it will go there, and we will say property status as sold, and we press enter. Once I have done that, the property sold is also created. Now after getting it created, let's bring our other measures again inside our, I can say, this visual. So I have added revenue, expenses, and then profits, and finally our properties sold here. So the 4 measures have been created. Now after creating those 4 measures, let's go and format them. So let's bring it here, this one here, and this one here. Now let's format this card chart. So for formatting this, let's go to our format option here, and let's go and see inside size and style. This looks fine, and we don't need the background, so we remove that. After that, let's go to our layout, and inside layout we want to show it in a single row, that is fine, and instead of 3 cards we want to show the 4 cards. So 4 sold property details is also showing up here. Along with that, do we want the spaces between the cards? So spaces is quite fine, and we don't need the background, that is good. Overflow is good, and padding is good. After that, let's go to the call out values, and inside call out values the size of these values are quite fine. If we want to make them bold, we can make them bold. However, these are quite big in size, so let's not do them in bold color. And after, let's go and align them to center, as you can see here. And after aligning, there are no blanks, so that is fine. And we want to keep the labels, so let's keep the labels on, and the things looks good here. And after that, let's go to our layout, and inside our layout, do we want any reference label? Then we can add them. For now we are not adding any reference. And inside the images we will be adding the, I can say, images here. So initially I am going to select and do the on for image, and let's go and select our revenue image. So you will be seeing that all are showing the revenue image, but this is covering entirely. So what we will do, we will reduce the size, and we don't want to show it on right of text, we want to show it on the left of text. And also let's reduce the size. Let me try to make it 40. So in 40 this is very small, let's make it around 50, and the 50 looks fine, but instead of 50 the 40 was quite good. Okay, now this is 40, and when we do it in a 40, so this image is applicable to all at the moment. Now we want to specifically use different images for different items. So let's go to expenses and change the image for it. So we go here and we go to expenses, the image has changed now. Let's go to the third line item, which is our profit, and instead of revenue, let's go here and use the profit image. And after that, let's go to our fourth line item, which is our sold properties, and instead of revenue, let's show the sold properties icon here, which you can see. So all the icons are showing here, and this is quite fine. And after that, let's go to our cards here, and let's try to update those cards. So inside this series, this is applicable to all the series, and the padding is good. Alignment, how do we want to align? We can align them left, center or right. So the center alignment is quite fine. Do we want the background? We can keep it off, we can keep it on. So right now I am keeping it off. And do we want the borders? If we don't want, we can keep them off. So right now the border I am keeping off. And shadow, glow and accent bar. So here we want to show the accent bar. So let's go to here inside the accent bar, and you can see that all these accent bar are showing here, and here on the left as well the accent bar is showing. We don't want to show this only accent bar, so let's go to our accent bar here, and this is showing on the left of all the items, and we can reduce the width to 1, and we can just fade the color little bit or use the little faded color. And let's go and use this accent bar. Now let's go to series of revenue. This is our first series, and for this series of revenue we don't want the accent bar, so I just closed it. So now you can see that that accent bar has been removed. Now if you see that how our data looks, so this is our 2025, 26 and 27. Here one modification I would like to do, our theme color is a little purple. So instead of having this blue color in our slicer, let's change the color of these buttons. So I go to button, and inside selected the fill color is blue at the moment. Let's make it to purple. So let's go here and let's match it to our theme color, which is this one. More options, and yeah, this has been selected now. So this is fine now. Now let's create the geography map based upon which we will be able to filter the data on countries. So for that we go to our visuals. Inside that we go to shape map, and after selecting shape map we need to insert a revenue inside it. So we select revenue. Also we want to show this through countries, so we go and select the name of the country. However, this name of the country has not been categorized till now, so we go to data category. Inside this data category we select country. This selection of country will ensure that this globe is working fine. After selection, what we need to do, we need to go to format, and inside the map settings, this map is showing only USA right now. So we have created a custom map, so we select that custom map here, and there is a JSON file. So after selection of this JSON file, you can see the data is showing, will show here. So right now, wait for a second. Yeah, so this is our custom map. Now inside this custom map, let's go and add our location country. So once we select that, you can see entire area of different countries is showing, and based upon that revenue is showing. However, we don't want this in a Mercator form, we want in orthographic form, which will be round, just like a round globe. So let's go and put it here. Let's make its size little bit up to here and here. Let's stretch it a little bit more. Yeah. Now if we select any particular country, then it is not getting zoom, it is only selecting that. So for that what we can do is go to zoom. Inside that zoom we can select auto zoom. Now this will do a auto zoom once we select anything, and on zoom on selection, if we select that, then this will zoom in. So if I go here, this is Saudi Arabia, and on selection this is getting zoomed, and on deselection this is getting again on its normal situation. So this is our revenue by country. Here the header is, or I can say title, is showing revenue by name of country. So let me remove the words name of country. The revenue by country is quite good here, so that is fine. And if we go little more below here, let's go here, then we can go to fill colors. Now we need to select the gradient of color. The country with the highest revenue is more darker color, so let's make it and align it with our theme color. So this is our theme color purple, and we come here, and on a maximum let's go and select the color which is matching to our theme color, and on a lighter shade this is getting more lighter, which is fine for us. Also if there are certain blank areas, they are shown into this light gray color, so we don't want to show them into light gray color, we want to show them in white color. So this is showing white. And if there is an option, just like if you can see, do we want the border, so we can have the border, and if we don't want the border we can keep it as white, but this is not right. I think border would be fine, so let's go and have our original borders which we saw, which was around this color. Yes. Now after this chart is looking fine, but what happens many time if you want to select any particular country, just like USA, Germany, or any other UK. So based upon that, let's put the list of countries inside our data set so that people can select it from here. So for that, let's go inside a table, and after selecting this table, let's bring it here and arrange its size little bit, and inside this table let's add our country name. So name of the country would be shown here, and along with the name of the country we want to show the revenues, so we selected revenues as well. And now let's try to format it. So we are here, inside it the size and style looks fine, and we need the background, so we don't want the background, we remove that. Padding and other things looks fine. The title we don't need that. Style, if we go, the default style is there, and there are multiple styles, so the default, if I select the bold header, then the headers would be bold, but let's go with the default style, that is fine. And inside that if you go to grid, so there are horizontal grid lines, we can keep them on and off, so I am keeping them off for now. And the vertical grid lines are already off. The color of the border, so what color of the border do we want, or we don't want the border, so these borders colors are here, so based upon our theme we can select them, and this got updated. Further, if we go to the options, there are row padding, so we are not adjusting the padding at this moment. Let's go to our values. Inside our values we can increase the size and decrease the size, so 11 is quite good, or 11 will increase the size, let's keep it at 10, that is good. Text wrap is fine, and these are our column headers. So column headers which is name of country and revenue, those looks fine, we can keep them into the bold, so that is good now. And right now if we want, we can do a text wrap as well, and we can keep it on, so this is on for now. Options is quite good. Let's go to our totals. So how do we want to show totals? So we don't want to show totals, because if you see that this 27 million is also showing as revenue here, 27 million, so we don't want to duplicate any data sets inside our chart here. And if we go to our specific column, then this is the name of the country. Now this is the name of the country, and inside this name of the country, do we want to apply certain steps? Right now we don't want to apply it. If we go to our revenue, so for revenue what do we want? For revenue we want to show the units into I can say millions, so it would be more convenient to filter data. So if you see that revenue I have converted to millions here, and let me just bring it little bit here. So 1 second. Yeah, so I bought the revenues here. After that, let's go below. This is fine, revenue is fine, and if you go to cell elements, then name of the country is fine. And if you want to update the background color, so if we want to update that, we can do that based upon selection of whatever we want. At this moment we don't want to update that, so let's keep it off. And there is no URL icon, we are not inserting an image, so this looks fine. Except one thing, let's just go to our style, and inside style we just want to have these alternating rows. So do we want that? No, we don't want that. We just need to update one last important thing, which is our, so if we just don't want to show this alternate colors here. For that, let's go to our values. Our values, let me just scroll through it. Was our title, styles, grid. So this was our values. Inside our values, do we want to show these alternating colors? So let me just convert it to first metric. Let me see what happens. Yeah, after converting it to metric, where is the value option? Yeah, this is the values option, and inside that we alternate background color, we want it to be white. So this has been converted to white, and this looks fine. At the same time, we don't want to show the total, so let's go and remove the total. We don't want to show the columns of total and rows of total as well. So this looks fine. Now based upon that, any person can select any country, let's suppose China, and based upon selection of it, entire data set would be filtered, and this graph of country would be updated, and the revenue, expenses and other details would be updated as well. If we go to France, then details would be updated, and if we go to Australia, the details would be updated, and so on. So in this way, this is the update for our chart. Now let's make it again to its original position. Now let's go and create a bar chart showing the revenue at the month level. For that, we will be going inside it, and here we will be selecting the bar chart. Inside the bar chart, let's put the revenue first. So these are our revenues, and wait for a second, this is our bar chart. Let me select the revenue inside it. So these are our revenues, and let's split this revenue based upon months. So these are our months, so we split it. However, if you see that the sequencing of all the months is not appropriate here, so let me do one thing, that you can see that November, May, Feb and so on, this is showing like that. So for that, let's go to the table view. Inside table view, you can see the name of the month, and you can see the months as well. So when you select the name of the month, we can go and sort this column based upon the month which is in sequence. So it will be filtered based upon 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on based upon the month, when I selected and sorted it. So once I do that, let's go to our chart here again, and let me remove month and again add the month name. Now you can see this is showing appropriately Jan, Feb and so on. So these are our revenue by month, and let me just place it here. Let's stretch it a little bit, and let's get this fit into our area which we have dedicated it for. Now let's go and format this particular chart. So inside format, when we go, we can see that at this moment we don't need the background. Also the title is good because we want to show the revenue by month name. That is fine with us. X axis and Y axis. So on Y axis we don't want to show the values here because we will be showing the values on these bars. Further, the title is quite fine. As you can see, these are showing revenue. Even we can remove it because we are showing that these are the revenue by month. And let's go further. So if we talk about the grid lines, so we don't need that. Zoom slider, don't need. Columns, so these are the columns. Now for these columns, firstly you can see that these are the categories. So for all the categories we want to apply this setting, and we need to convert these colors matching to our theme color. So let's go to our colors and select our theme color. Let's come back here and go to more colors, and now this is showing inside our theme color at the moment. And after that we can improve the transparency and reduce it as well based upon the requirement. So let me keep it up to 40%, 42. After the colors we can go and pick the border. So right now we don't want to show the border, so let's keep it off. And inside the layout, how much space do we want between these categories? So let me increase more space between these so as to make these little thin. Now this looks fine. And data ribbons we don't need, and for data labels we can keep it on. Now you can see the data is being shown here, and inside these data labels the values are showing. Let's make these values bold. Now we don't want to show all the values, but instead of that we want to show the maximum and the minimum values inside this area. For that, what we will be doing, let's go and create another new measure for that first. So inside our measures table, let's go and create a new measure, and let's give this measure a name of I can say max min values. Inside that, firstly we will be creating a variable. The name of that variable will be max underscore value. And how we will be creating that? So basically we need to go and use a formula which will be all selected, and right now this formula does remove all the filters from the selected line items. So we must be having our filters on the month name or the month numbers because we have sorted them. And after that, what do we want? So we want a maximum value, right? So we select the formula of max x, and this table is creating what it is bringing, the removing the filters from month name and calendar and all the dates. And based upon that, what expression do we need? So we need to check the revenue, and based upon this the values would be shown. So if I press return and I write as max value, let's see what happens. So let me just show you this through a table. So this is our table here. Let me just do a Control Z. Let me create a new table. So I go and select one table, and inside that table let's show the impact of the formula. So let's go and put the months here first. These are our month name, and corresponding to those months name, let's put the revenue, and alongside revenue let's put our max min values first. So you can see that our entire revenue for this 2025 is 26 billion. out of those 26 million, our maximum revenue was 4 million, which is in the month of you can see this in the month of May. Similar to that, if you go 2026, then you can see our entire revenue was 17 million, which is here. Out of that, this 3 million was the highest month, which is in June. So this formula of maximum revenue is working at the moment. Let's go and extend this formula, and we now introduce another variable known as minimum value. So let's go and introduce that. So another variable is min underscore value, and inside that we'll be using the same formula but with minax, and here again all selected will be used, and this will remove the filters from calendar name and calendar month, and after that it will be selecting the revenue, and from that revenue minimum revenue would be found, and I press enter. Now this formula has been created for minimum value. At this moment this is getting loaded. We don't want to show all the numbers here on the top of these, I can say, bars. Instead of that, we only want to show the minimum and the maximum values. For that, what we will be doing, we will be saying, okay, what do we want in return? So we will be saying if our our revenue would be equals to maximum value, then we will give this as a green value. However, if our revenue again is equal to our minimum value, which is here, then we will be giving this a color of red, and if nothing is true, then we will be giving it a color of white. And once this is done, we will press enter here, and this formula is taking a bit of time, and now this has been done. After doing this formula, let's come back and see what's happening inside this chart. So you can see that in 2026 we are having the minimum value in the month of April and maximum value in the month of June, which is showing green. Now let's go inside our bar chart, which is here. One second. Yeah, now inside the format option, let's go to our columns, and inside the columns we have selected the color, we have selected the layout, that is fine, our ribbons are fine, and now let's go to the data labels. Inside these data labels you can see that there is the option of values. Now these values I can keep it on and off. If I keep it off, these will be gone. If I keep it on, these are showing here. Now inside that, what color do we want for these revenues? So I go and inside this conditional formatting, and instead of gradient we select a field value. Now the field value will be based upon our formula, which is our min max values. I select that, I do OK, and you can see that entire revenue is being shown based upon highest and lowest number. Let me remove the table from above, which we don't need. Now you can see that if I select 2027, then based upon selection of 2027, you know that July was the least revenue month and November was the most revenue month, which was 4.7 million. This got changed, and if we want to see the results only for November month, then we can see inside November month only these countries were having the sales inside them. So this was our bar chart. Now if our management want to see the data based upon client, that which clients have bought most the properties, so we can create that. For that we will be going inside client, and we'll be selecting the name. This will give us the table, which is a, I can say, a regular table, as you can see here. However, let's not use this table, let's copy already created table which is here. uh, so we just create a copy of that, and based upon copy, let's put it here. Now inside here, instead of having the name of the country, let's put the client name. So let's put the name of the client here, and in front of those clients the revenue are being shown, so these are fine. Also we want to show the images of these clients, so it becomes more intuitive. So we click on image, and inside data category we go and make it as an image URL, so that it will show as an image. And inside the rows, let's put it before the name, so this image would be shown here. So instead of name, let's put the image. So this is the image, and now you can see that this is showing the image and the revenue inside a matrix, but instead of matrix, let's convert it to table, so it will show the name of the people and the images as well. However, let's go and try to reduce the size of these images. So we go to the format, and inside format there is an option of image size. Instead of having it at 70 pixels, let's make it around 50, and or even we can reduce it further to around 40 pixels. So this is the entire revenue structure which can be seen based upon person. So if we want to see what was the total revenue done by James Smith, and we can click on that, and based upon that we can see the revenue and expenses, and that is in the loss. So these kind of metrics can be further used and seen using these people. Also these lines here are not aligning with our theme, so we can update that as well if we want. However, that looks fine at the moment. After that, now let's go and create our top selling flat, or I can say top selling property. For that we'll be going and creating a slicer. So this will be a tile slicer, and let's put this tile slicer here. And inside this tile slicer, what we can do is go and show the properties. So here are the property details, and let's put the unique property IDs inside this tile. So all the unique properties IDs are showing. Now instead of unique properties IDs, we want to show the images instead of these IDs. So what we can do, we can go inside images, and what we can do, we can add a field for image. So these are the images for properties, and this is again uncategorized. So let's go and categorize it as image URL. Once we do that, we can bring this image here, and after bringing, all the properties are showing. Now we don't want to show all the properties here, so what we can further do is go to our slicer setting, and inside slicer, okay, let's go from top to bottom. So here we need the background, so we don't need the background, I'm removing that. And do we need the title? So yes, we need the title. However, instead of writing unique property ID, we can write it as top selling property, and heading is 3 at the moment, which is fine. Text color is fine, and other things are fine. Then we don't need the subtitles. If we want, we can add them as well. And after that we can go to slicer settings, and the single select is good. The shape of the slicer is rectangle, which is fine. And if we go to layout, so this is a grid layout right now, we just want a single column, so this is only a single column, and the style is just like cards, and we only want to show one card at a time. So this is the one card which we have selected. And do we want the overflow? Then we can go and use the overflows as well. Overflows as in, how do you want to get the next I can say pages, how do you want to see the next pages? So that is fine. Call out values is like this value, this is the property number 3. So we can just close this, so that this number has gone, because we are not concerned with property number 3, we just want the image of that property. After that, apply settings to default, first image, these are fine, these are fine, and position is in the top, that is fine. Now this looks fine. Now after this, what we can specifically do is one second, what's happening, we have selected one, let me just unselect it. Let's go to filters, and inside filters there is an option of top and filter. So this will filter the top one property for us based upon the revenue. So we drag the revenue here and we do an apply filter. Once we do that, we can see that this is our top selling property. If we go and select 2026, then top selling property changes, and when we go to 2025, then our top selling property changes. So the top selling properties keeps on changing based upon our selection here. Now let's try to understand the line chart for our expenses. For that, inside the line and area, we select the line chart, and for every selected year we want to show the data using the quarters. So on a quarter on quarter basis, what was the performance of our expenses? For that, we go to our calendar. Inside our calendar, we go and select the date, and inside the date we don't want the year, so we remove that. We don't want month, we don't want day. On the y axis we want to show our expenses, so we calculated a measure, and this is our expenses which is here. So we selected that, and if we select different years, you can see the pattern of expenses. So in 2025 the expenses were on a different trajectory. In 2026 they were very flat and increasing. In 2027 they increased and then decreased due to certain reasons, and again they increased. So these patterns may be helpful while working with the real life data. Now let's go and format this chart for our reference. So let's make it little bigger here, and inside this chart let's go to format, and if you go to size and style, so our size and style looks fine and we don't need the background, so we remove that. Also the title looks expenses by quarter, that is fine. Let's go further. On x-axis the quarters are written as q1, q2, q3 and q4, which is fine for us. And on y-axis we don't want to show the values, instead of that we'll be showing the values alongside these points, so we kept that off. And here we off the title as well, because we already mentioned that these are the expenses by quarter, so repetition is not a healthy practice while doing your analysis. If we go to grid lines, so grid lines are quite fine. And if we go to lines, so inside lines, what kind of lines do we need? So these solid lines are fine, and the round join is quite fine, and the line needs to be smooth, so we made these a little bit smooth, as you can see. And after setting them to smooth, do we want to shade our area? Then yes, we want to shade our area, so the expenses increase and decreased, so this is the shading. After that, let's go to our markers, so we don't want to use any markers. Now let's put the data labels. You can see that data labels are showing here. Let's make these data labels little more intuitive, and these are the values inside the data labels. So let's select and go based upon our theme color. So this is our theme color purple. Let's go and select little uh, darker color here first, and let's go and make these lines first. So if we go to line, inside line the shaded area is there, so let's not match the color. It is mentioning to match the color, but instead of matching the color we want to use our own color which we have selected. So this is our selected color. Also let's go and change the line color as well. So let's go above, and this is our line, right? So we need to go and change the line color. So we are inside the lines, and inside the color let's go and change it. So line color has also been changed. Now we want to update these data points. So we go to our data labels. Inside this data labels, let's go to values, and instead of having this in a gray color, let's go and select some more intuitive color which can be easy to read and people can see that. So let's select this particular color and let's do an enter. When we will increase the size of this chart, this will automatically reflect upon. So once we are done with this, you can see our expenses by quarter are also showing up here, which is inside every year based upon our selection. Now finally we need to make the final modification inside our chart. So we'll be adding one carousel chart. So carousel is like when we go to any website, the images keeps on sliding. So this is a property purchase portal, or I can say dashboard. So we need to go that. For that I'm going to more visuals, and from apps source we will be selecting the, I can say, carousel. For that you need to be logged into inside the Power BI, because this is based upon the Microsoft logged into user only. So we go to based upon rating, and we can also search it by name. So this is I can say carousel. So this is image carousel. We are loading it. Let it get loaded. Now let's go and add it, and you can see that once it will be added, it will be shown inside our charts, and I go here and this has been selected. Now this is asking for any image to be inserted. So what I will do, I will go to insert the image, and wait for a second. Let me again select it. Yeah, I have selected it now. Now let's insert the image. So it's asking that add a visual title here. So we don't want to add a visual title at the moment. Let's just go and add the image. So this image will come from properties details, and there it comes the image. So this is the image, and we can update the name as glimpses of properties. And now you can see that our entire dashboard is ready to view, and we can create multiple pages as well. So we can select any year, and based upon that property carousel will get updated. Also we can go and zoom the properties also here, as you can see. Finally let's change the name of this page 1. So this is our I can say property dashboard. I hope you liked it, and thank you so much for watching.